Evening, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, hi, good evening, our esteemed forever business owners. I'm super excited tonight to have you all here. I just want to thank you for coming through and for letting your teams come through as well. And I'm excited to. Hello, everybody. Hello, hi, good evening, our esteemed forever business owners. Sorry. I'm super excited tonight to have you all here. I just want. Apologies, I needed to switch off YouTube. Sorry about that. So I'm very, very excited because I've got somebody who is brand spanking new, who is going to be talking about how to focus for Eagle. And this is somebody who is not very long in the business, and they've completed their Eagle in 6 months. So they have already done their Eagle qualification for Sun City, and she is also a senior manager in the business, and she's also a Forever to Drive qualifier. And the topic for tonight is finish faster, focus harder, fly higher, the discipline of a high performer. And this is certainly a high performer. And she is also going to be talking about your Eagle Manager season isn't over. It's time to get serious. And she's going to give practical strategies to maximize the final months and secure your EMR 26 qualification. And it is none other than the gorgeous Lerato Khamanyani. Yeah? Am I right? Yeah.
You're right,
Khamanyani, but
yes, but Besong
yeah,
works as well.
Khamanyani.
That's my marital last name, so that works as well.
Awesome. So Lerato Besong. And we are super excited to have you here. And thank you for serving us tonight. And we can't wait to hear it from a brand new person. You know, a person who's not long in forever. We want to know, how did you do it? And I'm sure everybody's just excited. I see the fire emojis. I see the love. People are already like, oh my word. Tonight is the night. Where we are going to also close this 2026 January on a high and very strong. And Lerato Besong, this is your platform. Take it. Let's give it a
Thank you so much. CSM, thank you so much. Prior to the meeting starting, I was telling CSM that I've been pacing up and down and I'm sweating and I'm so nervous because I have attended every Go Eagle training since I joined the business, and it's been seasoned business owners, respected business owners. And geez, the expectation is quite high, but I'm so honored. And truly, I don't want you to take my gratitude for granted, CSM. I am so grateful that you trusted me to be the one person to start the year off for Go Eagle. And yeah, I am very excited. Thank you so much, Sadek, for joining. We're on 500. I've never presented to a number like this. And so I truly hope I do a great service to you this evening. I'm about to start sharing my screen and just dive into it. Yeah, I'm super excited, and I hope you all are excited for this amazing training. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Okay, share. Alrighty, leaders, can I please just get a number 1 in the comments if you can see my screen? Okay, not yet. Okay, some people yes, some people no. Okay, more ones than yeses. Okay, so we'll get into it. I appreciate you all so much for attending this evening. As I mentioned, it means a lot to me. And once again, CSM, thank you so much for trusting me with such a big responsibility. I hope to make you proud. I hope to make Forever Sadik proud. So yeah, let us get into it. So, good evening, leaders. Good evening, Eagle managers and future Eagle managers. I want to start off by saying this very clearly. This is not going to be a motivational talk. If you are looking for a motivational talk, this is not where you're going to find that. This is a decision room. If you're here tonight, it's because something in you already knows that Eagle is not for some people. It's for leaders who choose it. This training is called Go Eagle Focus Group Training for a reason. Not hope Eagle, not maybe Eagle, not if things work out Eagle, but it's called Go Eagle. So this is a focus room for leaders who are tired of watching incentives pass by, starting strong and fading out, or knowing they can do more, but are in need of alignment and structure. And so I want you to comment in the comment section. I am deciding, or I have decided, if you have decided that this is exactly what you are running for. Can I see those comments? Can I see those comments? I have decided, I am deciding. Amazing leaders, amazing. So, we are building in Southern Africa real lives, real responsibilities, and real pressure. We have jobs, we have families, businesses, debts, retrenchments. Our economies are shifting, right? And yet, every single year, Eagle managers rise from this very region. And so the question isn't, is Eagle possible where we are? But I believe the real question should be, what are Eagle managers doing differently and consistently? I don't want you to think of Eagle Manager as just a badge. It's not just recognition. It's not just a stage walk. Eagle is a leadership posture. It's how you think. It's how you show up. It's how you lead when no one is clapping yet. And tonight, we are not chasing a title. We are aligning behavior with identity. And I hope that even with just 12 months in this business, you all can trust me to help you align. With that said, my name is Lerato Kamanyane. My marital surname is Besong, so you can choose whatever you like. And I'm hosting the session not because I have arrived, right? But because I've decided. I've decided that I no longer want to build casually, or lead passively, or leave growth to chance. I've decided that I'm in this business and I'm going to build it intentionally. And Eagle requires intention. So let me be very clear about what tonight is and what it isn't. What it is clarity, it's focus, it's alignment, and a leadership mirror. And what it is not is pressure, it is not comparison or a space for guilt. So if you came into this feeling those things, I'd like for you to remove yourself from those feelings and realign your leadership posture. This is a room for leaders who are willing to take responsibility for the rewards and results they want. So before we go any further, I want you to ask yourself, not me, you don't have to comment in the comment section, but just really have a moment of introspection with yourself. Am I here to listen, or am I here to decide? And I've seen many comments, leaders saying that they have decided, and I'm excited. I'm excited that so many people have decided, because at the end of this session, you will not only you'll not only have decided and be clear, right? You will remove all confusion you have about Eagle. So yeah, let's move on. So just a bit about me, so that you can get to know me. I didn't put the slide here so you can get to know me for the sake of it, but I put it here so you can understand where I am speaking from. Because Eagle managers are not built from titles. So, as I mentioned, Eagle is not just a badge, right? It's about alignment. So, yeah, Eagle managers are not built from titles, but they are built from real lives, real roles, and real responsibilities. And so many people hear manager in our business, and they sometimes imagine someone who has, finally found themselves to endless time, no pressure, and the perfect circumstances. Well, that is not my life. I'm a mom. First and foremost, which means I understand responsibility beyond myself. I'm a wife, which means I understand partnership, sacrifice, and balance. I'm a fashion entrepreneur, which means I understand risk, I understand inconsistencies, and I understand pressure. And I'm also a devout woman of God, which means I believe discipline, obedience, and stewardship matter. And I'm also a lover of travel because I believe life should be experienced, and not postponed. And I'm a forever living business owner, obviously. But I want you all to know that this was by choice and not by default. I didn't come into forever living because I had nothing else to do. I came because I needed alignment between my income and my efforts, alignment between my leadership abilities and my values, as well as my future goals and my daily actions. And that's important because Eagle managers are not accidental leaders, they are aligned leaders. So when I talk about Eagle tonight, I'm not speaking as someone watching from the sidelines. I'm speaking as a woman building while managing her life, deadlines, commitments, fatigue. And yet I still choose consistency, which means if you're a manager thinking, I have a lot going on right now, I just want to tell you, because you have a lot going on right now, you are actually qualified and not disqualified. So my motto is simple, and it's been a motto that has carried my business to date. And it's uncomfortable if you sit with it long enough, but your life is a sum of all your choices. So what are you doing today? Not what you plan to do next month, not what you'll do when things calm down, not what you'll do on the 31st when people get paid, not what you'll do when your team gets serious, but what are you doing today? And I'm grateful that right now, at this hour, at this moment, you are sharing this time with me, and being productive. So Eagle, as I mentioned, it's not a once-off decision, it's a daily choice, right? You choose to follow up, you choose to show up, you choose to lead even when it's inconvenient. You choose structure over emotion. And every Eagle manager you admire, and I'm sure there are many that you admired. I mean, I mentioned that I was so nervous coming into this training because every Go Eagle training that I have attended since the beginning of my business has been with seasoned leaders, and we admire those leaders, right? But they are people who chose to make better daily choices for long enough. Now, briefly get into a bit about myself. So yeah, my academic journey, I'm a BCom undergrad, a BA postgrad, and now an MBA candidate. And this taught me one thing above all else: results come from structure. They come from patience and consistency. I learned that success isn't instant. If you're an academic in the room tonight, you know that this is a lengthy process, and it's a hard one, right? So success is earned over time in academics, through showing up even when the progress isn't visible yet. And that mindset is exactly how I build in my Forever Living business, strategically, intentionally, and with a long-term vision. And then my journey as a content creator, it hasn't been easy, but it's opened doors. I've worked with big brands, building visibility and monetizing my personal brand. But it also showed me the hard truth. Influencer income can be very inconsistent, and you're only paid while you're actively visible. And so I wanted to model in my business where my effort could compound, increase, and grow, and where leadership builds leverage. And then with building a fashion brand, that has taught me what true entrepreneurship actually looks like. Costs, staff, rent, overheads, marketing, and the pressure behind the scenes. I learned that passion alone doesn't sustain a business, and that is a real truth you can also apply in our business, but structure does, and that's why Forever Living became so important to me, because it has been a vehicle that has supported my entrepreneurship journey. The picture that you see in the middle, Forever Living funded that. Forever Living funded my pop-up at Mall of Africa. And so I say that with so much pride, you know. So yeah, Forever Living becomes it becomes a vehicle that supports entrepreneurship and doesn't compete with it, and it also allows me to fund my vision without burning myself out. And then I mentioned previously, I'm a mom and a wife, and being a mom and a wife changed how I view time, responsibility, and leadership. It taught me that every decision I make carries weight beyond me, and you find yourself in a business that is willable up to 3 generations deep, which is beautiful. And that tells you that this is bigger than you. You are in a business where you are partnering with individuals from all walks of life. And because of you, they believed that God is doing something great. God is doing something new in this business. And so it is beyond you. And so I don't build this business for a hobby. I build it for stability, for presence, and for legacy. And that's why consistency matters to me and why I take leadership seriously. In addition to all of those responsibilities, I'm a huge lover of travel. I love to travel because I believe it represents freedom, it represents exposure, and it represents reward for effort. I don't believe in postponing life while you are building life, right? And the beauty of Forever is it gives us that luxury. You will be building and building and building, but you will be traveling and traveling and traveling, right? So you don't have to postpone life while you're building it. It's actually one of the reasons that I joined Forever Living. The travel incentives. I wanted a business that doesn't just pay me, but rewards me for experience, or rather with experiences. And for me, Eagle isn't just a title; it's access to a lifestyle that reflects the work that you put in. Because no one can just say, "Oh, I didn't qualify for Eagle. Let me just book a helicopter or a bus or drive my car down to Sun City and make my way in." No, you are exclusively chosen for this. So please do not take it for granted. And then, as our beautiful, stunning CSM mentioned, I am a senior manager in the business. I'm a Forever to Drive Level 1 qualifier, and I am a new Eagle manager. But I want to touch on the slide, not to impress anyone, but to be clear, right? In this business, rather who you learn from really matters, but why they are teaching matters even more. And right now, these are simply just facts that I'm sharing with you, what I've achieved in the business. I'm not sharing this to toot my own horn. I'm sharing it because I'm still close to the process. I remember the discipline it took to achieve all of these, the focus, the decisions. So when I speak tonight, I'm not theorizing this beautiful, prestigious incentive that we're about to get into, but I'm sharing what I've done. And in my experience, if it can save you time, confusion, or unnecessary frustration, then it is my responsibility to share what I have done. So now that you all know where I'm speaking from, let's move straight into what we are here for. So I officially registered my business, my Forever Living business, on the 6th of January. By February, I qualified for supervisor when it was still 25 case credits. So if some OGs can give me a we did it when it was tough. We did it when it was tough, right? So yeah, February qualified for supervisor, 25 case credits. In March, qualified for assistant manager with 75 credits. And then in April, I closed manager over the period of 2 months between March and April. So I closed manager right at the beginning of the EMR 26 qualification period. And I'm sharing this timeline not to say it was easy, but to show what focused momentum looks like, right? As I mentioned, I closed manager at the cusp of EMR 26 qualification, and it's not to say timing matters. I think this was just God ordained for me to join the business in January and therefore see my business through, right? There have been many Eagle managers who joined later in the year and still qualified for Eagle. So it's not to say timing matters. This is just me sharing my timeline. And yeah, this is where my Eagle journey truly started. And not necessarily because of speed, but because of decisive action. Share this, wake you all up and get you excited. Is not exciting that we are hosting such a prestigious event out of 160 countries. And I want you to look at it this way. What it means is that we are ready to host the globe, and that is a big deal. I'm not going to tap too much into this. I'll briefly go over it. So Eagle EMR 26 started in May 2025 and it ends in April 2026. In order to qualify, you have to be 4 case credits active every single month. And if you have managers under you, be leadership bonus qualified, and you need to achieve a total of 720 case credits, including 100 case credits that are new, and you have to personally sponsor 3 new supervisor business lines globally. If you're a senior manager, you must have 1 Eagle downline. And then soaring managers and above acquire a minimum of 3 existing Eagle downlines or 1 new Eagle downline that is not under another qualifying Eagle. All of you should have access to this resource. If you don't, ask your upline or your mentor. Yeah, sorry about that, leaders. So my May looked like. So as I mentioned, I closed manager in April, and this is how May looked like. So May is the month that Eagle officially started, and I want you to look at the slide carefully because it shows behavior, not luck. I kid you not. This was not luck. In this 1 month, I developed my first manager. I developed 2 Eagle supervisors, Dimakatso and Sandrin, and then I developed an additional supervisor. But just as important as leadership development was, volume strategy was also very important. In May, this is when I decided I am going to retail C9 aggressively, consistently, and intentionally. This is when my C9 business truly took off. And that retail focus and leadership development focus is what helped me close May on 131 case credits, right? Like I mean, the basic Eagle plan is simple. You 60 case credits per month for 12 months. And in May alone, I mean, I essentially did 2 months worth of Eagle case credits in 1 month. And this slide is not about being exceptional. No, it truly isn't, leaders. It's about being intentional. When I came into the business, my mentor, we onboarded, and she said to me, okay, you need to chase manager. I said, okay, just tell me what to do. I'm going to follow you around everywhere. And I truly followed her around everywhere. And I closed manager. And the next question was, what's next? Right? And you're going to see what was next through this presentation. So I want to remind you that when leadership development and retail strategy work together, Eagle stops feeling overwhelming, but it starts feeling manageable. And so these were the managers I developed in the journey. Refilwe in May, and Bolena in August, I believe, and Odwa in October, if I'm not mistaken. But these are my direct line managers. So I want to focus on January focus because that is where we are right now. If you are a new manager or you're a recent manager, I want you to know that January doesn't need perfection, right? It needs your presence. And January is a powerful month because people are already looking for something new. They're looking for a fresh start. They're looking for new opportunities and a more productive chapter in their lives. So what that means is more people are more open now than they will be later in the year to just have a fresh start, right? So start your January fully active and visible. January is not a recovery month for managers. Manager, once you reach manager, you know that a whole new world in forever starts. You don't stop, you don't relax, you don't say, okay, I've made it, I've arrived. No, it's a whole new world. So this is not the time to recover, but it's a time to be visible. And when people are looking for direction, they follow the leaders that they can see. So you don't need to be loud, but just be consistent. And then lock in your personal CC discipline. So your personal case credits are your leadership signal. If you are disciplined personally, your team feels safe to follow you. Your team watches you and they say, okay, I see what she is doing, so let me follow suit. So people don't need perfect leaders, but they need reliable leaders. And then identify and work your 5 serious legs. So you don't need everyone to be serious because you'll be straining yourself. We only have 3 months left, right? You just need 5 people who are ready, who have been showing up. And January shows you very clearly who is leaning in and who is warming up. So take your time and pay attention and put your efforts to those who have leaned into their business. And then front load your recruitment and do so with intention because people are already searching. January recruitment should be intentional and focused, right? People are already looking. The people who have been watching us in 2025, they're now like, the new year has started. Who am I going to lean into? Who do I want to mentor me? Who do I want to coach me in this journey? And I promise you, it's the most visible and it's the most visible leader. So speak to people who want a reset, speak to those people who want a new chapter and want to start on a clean slate. This is not about convincing people who are comfortable. And then run weekly structure, not occasional motivation. Motivation fades, right? Motivation fades. I could share 10,000 quotes in this presentation this evening, but trust me, 2 days from now, you've forgotten about those quotes. You need structure that will sustain you. And some weeks you won't feel inspired. I know this. I have experienced this, where some days, some weeks, I really am fatigued. I'm really tired. I don't have a clue what the next move is to do. And that is okay. But structure is what is going to carry you through. And then I want you to treat challenges as data, not as discouragement. So when something isn't working, pivot. When something isn't working, don't take it personally, take notes. Eagle managers don't react emotionally, they adjust strategically. And then assess your next 3 months and do this honestly. January is your planning month, but also because it's 3 months, there actually isn't much time to plan. Plug in. So I would rather say plug in. Look at February to April and ask yourself, what does Eagle require from me? And where do I need to be more intentional? And then incentivize your non-managers. Not only will this help you in terms of case credit volume to close Eagle more seamlessly, but your next managers are currently watching how you are leading in January. So everyone that you have recruited into the business this month is saying, how is this person going to walk the walk with me for the rest of the year? So recognition, attention, small incentives, they matter more than you think. So January is a month where people are ready, and your job is to be ready too. Get January right, and Eagle Manager becomes a process. It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes who you are and what you do, and not just a qualification that you need to panic about. So, as I mentioned, the standard, I guess, bare minimum ask from Forever for you to qualify for Eagle is to maintain 60 case credits for 12 months. And yeah, you'll close your 720, including your 100 new CCs. But I want to share how I did it quicker. Chase car incentive. So remember, I mentioned that when I started my business, my first thing was to say to my mentor, okay, so what am I doing here? Where am I going? And she said, run for manager. I did that. When I closed manager, I asked her, what's next? And she said, car incentive. One of the ways that accelerated my Eagle journeys was this: it gives you breathing room, and Eagle Manager becomes less stressful when you're not playing catch up every month. So this wasn't about getting a car incentive or car plan on its own. It was about building momentum that works in my favor, because we do know that our business is a business of fluctuations. And so you chase this, you give yourself some room to breathe. And was my journey to car incentive and beyond. This slide is important because it shows something that, I guess you only find out later in the process, or you're not told about in the beginning of your business, which is fluctuation. So from June to October, my case credits didn't move in a straight line. And that's normal. It is very normal. In June, my case credits dropped to 72.7 from 131 because I had just raised the manager. In July, they picked up to around 100. By August, they jumped to 150. And that's the month I closed my car incentive. In September, my case credits dropped again to 123, not because things went wrong, but because I developed another manager. And when you develop a manager, as we all know, you no longer get 100% of their CCs, you now get 40%. So that dip happens, right? But I didn't consider that drop as a loss. I saw it as progress. It meant leadership in my was growing, and not necessarily that volume was disappearing. Then in October, my case credits went up again to 131.6, and that's the month I closed Eagle Manager. So what this slide really shows is that fluctuations are a part of the journey, but growth is the goal. Some months you push harder, some months you absorb and take on this shift. And as long as you stay consistent, leaders, trust me, Eagle will meet you where you are. So also, you need to be intentional about developing new supervisors. One of the non-negotiables for Eagle is developing 3 new supervisor lines if you're a manager, all right, that hasn't qualified for Eagle. But I want you to see this or hear this differently. Supervisors are not produced, they are grown. Your fruit comes from plowing the field, serving, showing up, teaching, following up, and staying patient and consistent with your business partners. You don't decide who becomes a supervisor. And that's what I've learned in this business. Your work ethic does. So when you focus on people, their skills, or developing skills and consistency, supervisor development becomes a natural outcome and it doesn't become pressure, right? I mean, these ladies, it was so seamless to develop them as my new supervisors because I knew I just have to plow. I just have to plant a seed. I just have to show them that, this business is extraordinary and everything that I have done, they are capable of doing it as well. Chase team incentives. So, one thing that really changed how I built my business was learning to chase team incentives as well, and not just personal targets, right? Because incentives don't just reward effort, but they build leaders and they create a belief in your team. They create momentum in structure and consistency in your income. So when your team has something to rally around, people show up differently. Incentives also force you to build the business properly with systems and retention and leadership, and not just quick wins. And that's why I say this openly. If you are not chasing team incentives, you are working too hard for too little. So, my mentor is actually in Mauritius as we speak. So, she has joined in this training from Mauritius. And I chose to decline this incentive. I qualified for it, but I said, no, 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 no. I am going to be your +1 to level up. That's where I want to be because that is going to change my business. But yes, I qualified for this team incentive that she had set up, and she's enjoying it currently right now with our other leaders. But I opted for something else. So leaders, just a hint, if next year one of your uplines qualifies for level up and they have an incentive, just be the first one to us to say, listen, the money you're going to spend there, take me to level up. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say about that. But yeah, remember, your upline is the one person in this business who has your best interest at heart, leaders. So when you align yourself with what they are offering, you are also actually aligning yourself with what the company is rewarding. And then incentives like Eagle stop feeling forced and become a byproduct of what you achieve within your team. Because as we know, in Forever, every incentive builds towards the next thing. So I want to share this with you, right? The key to success is hidden in your daily routine. There's a quote in Atomic Habits. It says, "You do not rise to the level of your goals, but you fall to the level of your systems." I love this quote because it removes the drama from success, right? We don't fall because we don't want Eagle badly enough, but we struggle for Eagle because our daily routines do not support the goal. And so you need to ask yourself, what does my daily routine actually look like? You know, and that's why the next part of this training is more practical, because Eagle is built in ordinary days and not big moments. So I'm going to skim through this. This is our team's business activities, or team activities, daily ones, that is, right? But I'm going to move on to the FLP SADC business activities because it is SADC that is here. You have no excuse. You have no excuse but to show up. Monday to Friday, FLP SADC has power hour from midday to 1 o'clock. Every second Monday, we have onboarding for new members at 8 p.m. Every Tuesday, we have product training at 8 p.m. Every Thursday, business opportunity presentations on Zoom at 8 p.m. as well. And every Saturday, leaders all over the country do in person business opportunity presentations in different areas. Leaders, another thing that built my business. Stop running away from social media. I want to show you the slide because this is not theory, this is real demand. This is real demand. All I did as I was preparing my slides, I went on my Instagram, went into my DMs and clicked link, or rather typed link. All of this, and I have more screenshots, just space wouldn't allow, but all of this came up. These are my Instagram DMs. I didn't chase these people. They found me because of my presence. And so I want to say to you, if you are saying, but oh, the seasoned leaders, the leaders who have been here for 15 years plus, the leaders who were here 11 years ago, they didn't necessarily have social media the way we have it now. But I want to say to you, Forever Living didn't change. The marketplace did. So you have to adapt or remain invisible. People are online, they're watching, and they're quietly deciding who looks credible enough to message. One of my most recent managers, Otwa Janda, she said to me when we had our first conversation, I saw your account when you started this business, which was in January. Otwa only joined in August. So this lady had been watching me for 8 months. Can you imagine if I decided this is not working? I'm having a bad day. I'm having a bad month. I'm not going to post anymore. What would have happened? She would have said, this is not the kind of leader that I want to lead me. She's not present enough for her business. Why would she be present for me? So if you're not visible, you are not rejected. You're just invisible. An eagle is very difficult to achieve when people cannot find you. So you don't need to be an influencer, LOL. You just need to be present and consistent. And yeah, I get this a lot, but you're an influencer. And I want to address this openly because, many of you have probably thought it or heard it. And since I started my Forever Living journey, I faced a lot of scrutiny and judgment based on this. People often will say, of course, her business grew, she's an influencer. But let's be honest, if influence alone built this business, then with almost 350,000 followers across my main platforms, I should have a team of hundreds of thousands of people by now. And we all know that that's not how this works. People are not stupid, you know? And so I did something very deliberate. I created 2 brand new accounts strictly for my Forever Living business. No shortcuts, no borrowed audience from my main accounts. I wanted to prove to myself that this business grows on desire, it grows on discipline, grows on consistency, and not popularity. And in just 1 year, those accounts, my new accounts, the ones that the arrow is pointing to, those accounts grew to almost 40,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok. And here's the real question I want to leave you with. How many influencers have we seen come and go in Forever Living? So, social credibility alone will not build this business. You actually have to want this business. You actually have to work this business. And when you finally understand that, your confidence changes because success stops feeling like it's reserved for certain people. It stops feeling like it's reserved for influencers, or it's reserved for the loud FBOs, or it's reserved for the seasoned leaders. It starts feeling like I too can be that. Show up for your team. These are moments I don't always post or, speak loud enough about, but this is me, traveling, presenting, sitting across tables, standing in rooms, not because I have to, but because leadership is presence. I mean, the first image, we drove 7 hours to Bochum, 7 hours back. I did that not because I needed to. I could have just sent, a business partner who's in Limpopo to take over for me, but I said, I need to be present for this woman. East London, Bloemfontein. I have traveled. I have traveled within the country, you know. And your team doesn't just need motivation on WhatsApp. Leaders, please, 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 your team, you cannot just motivate your team on WhatsApp. They need to see you, they need to hear you, and they need to feel that you're invested. And they won't feel that on WhatsApp because you could just type anything. But when they see you and they see how you speak and they see that you're speaking from your heart, that's when they'll know that this woman is invested, and not only in her own business, but in ours and our growth. So, I've done presentations with 5 people in a room. I've done presentations with 50. I've driven, I've flown, I've sacrificed time because belief grows faster when it's shared in person. And I'm sure many can attest to this. Have you ever spoken to someone via WhatsApp and then you have a one on one with them? The environment, the attention, it shifts completely. So if you want depth in your business, you have to show up with depth. Case credits grow, but people stay because of connection. And the truth is, when you show up for your team, they learn how to show up for their team. And then another thing that I do for my team, I create content plans. Not everyone comes into the business having a presence on social media, knowing what social media is about, And as I'm saying, one of the biggest things that you realize early on as a leader is that not everyone is well versed at this, and many people are actually intimidated by social media. And so motivation alone isn't enough. It's not enough for you to say, but post every day, it's going to grow your business. People don't struggle with social media because they're lazy. They struggle because they're unsure of what to do next. So, okay, I opened this TikTok account. What next? So I started creating content plans for my business partners, not to control them, but to remove the friction, to remove this tension of, I don't want to even log on to this platform because I don't know how to navigate it. I don't know what to do. And so when someone knows what to post, when to post, and why they're posting, consistency becomes easier. And this is a part of how I show up, by giving structure and clarity and tools that people can actually use. Because when your team wins, so does your business. Onboard your business partners. This is such a game changer. Oh my goodness. I cannot emphasize onboarding enough. This is where the real work is, but it's also where the real growth happens. So I don't just sign people up and then I disappear. I sit down with them, or if they're not in Johannesburg, I will have a Zoom with them and help them understand the business and show them how to start properly. And what matters most to me is the last picture where the arrow is pointed at, right? That's Rifilwe, my first manager, actually. She is onboarding her business partners. And that's how you know you're building a business and not some kind of personality brand. When your people can lead without you, your effort duplicates and multiplies. So that picture is such, it tugs at my heart because I'm just like, none of it is in vain. I did it for a reason, and that reason is just duplicating and duplicating and duplicating. Some challenges I faced along the way. I want to be very honest here, because if we don't talk about the challenges, then we set people up for disappointment. We set our new business partners up for disappointment. So the first one, rejection. This is a part of our business. People are going to say no. They're going to ignore you. They're going to leave you on read. They are going to promise to join and disappear. But rejection is not a reflection of your worth or your leadership. It's simply someone exercising their own timing, their rights, and their priorities. And I want you to see every no, as a conversation closer to the yes that is going to change your business. And then case credits dropping. There will be months where your case credits drop. Sometimes because, people slow down in the business, sometimes because life happens, and sometimes, ironically, because you're growing leaders, right? You're raising managers. So those case credits dropping don't mean you're failing. They mean the business is alive and it's moving. So real things are happening to your business. I kind of see it as, someone bleeding. It says that you're alive, so that happening, don't see it that you are failing or that your business is losing life. Change your lens and actually see it that, what, this business is actually alive, and I have the opportunity to put a bandage where it is bleeding out of and rebuild, right? And so consistency over time will always beat emotional reactions on one bad month. And then conflict will happen. 2 weeks back, I was on a call with my mentor, and she said something so enlightening to me. It's something that should come easy to the mind, but I was like, actually. And she was like, the beauty of forever is the people, but also the difficulty of forever is the people. And that is a real experience, right? So you'll have conflict with business partners, uplines or downlines, even people you once thought were your friends in the business, right? When money and growth and pressure are involved, emotions can surface. But I want you to handle conflict with maturity that won't destroy businesses, but will actually strengthen leaders. When you are dealing with conflict, reverse it and think to yourself, how would I want a person dealing with me to address me? How would I want a person dealing with me to handle me? So, take a long, hard think when you're addressing conflict, and remember that this is also another human being and they also want the best for themselves, and deal with it maturely. And then rebuilding. There are moments where you feel like you're starting again, rebuilding momentum, belief, confidence, and even rebuilding your team. I've rebuilt more than once, and every rebuild made me sharper, it made me stronger and more intentional. So I want to say to you that rebuilding is not starting from zero, but it's starting again with experience. And then lack of support from loved ones. When I started my business, my husband didn't want to hear any bit of it. He was just like, "Uzenenye, uzenenye." I don't understand. Every day nje, uwe nama prospect, uwe nama lunch date, nama prospect, uzenenye. You know what I mean? Until 6 months in, and look, our brother is so supportive. He's enjoying the benefits that are coming with it. The fact that I am successfully and happily contributing in our household, and that he doesn't have to save my business financial woes. I can do that myself. So yeah, it is a hard one, and I don't overlook that, leaders. It can be hard when you are not getting support from your loved ones, but the people you expect to support you sometimes don't understand your vision, and they may question you, discourage you, or even stay silent while you're building. But not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Trust me, the right people will benefit from it, right? And so I want to say the challenge is common, but the growth is optional. Whatever you're experiencing, you're not the first, and neither will you be the last, but you can choose to grow from it. Now, what Eagle Manager really changes? Before Eagle, I worked hard. I worked hard. I once cried at a masterclass because of what achieving assistant manager put me through. Before Eagle, I worked hard. During Eagle, I worked intentionally. And after Eagle, I stopped panicking. Eagle Manager doesn't just change your title, it changes how you think, how you lead, and how you build. You stop chasing case credits emotionally and start building systems deliberately. You stop reacting month to month and start planning quarters ahead. So your decision making matures when you become an eagle. You become less attached to quick wins and you become more committed to long term stability. And financially, something very important happens, right? Your income actually becomes more predictable. Yes, our business fluctuates, but once you become an eagle, once you become on par with eagle, you can actually, you know, check to say, hey, I think this is how my income is going to look this month. Shouldn't be far from this amount and whatever. And you know, it's not a seasonal qualification. It's not a hopeful qualification. That's the real reward of eagle, not the pin, not the recognition, but the calm that comes with the consistency that you have built. This is why most people don't finish eagle. All right. They're talented, they're smart, they even start strong. But eagle isn't lost because of a lack of skill, it's lost because of a lack of staying power, persisting. Ukuba imbokodo in the process, basically. People underestimate the time, and eagle is not a sprint, right? It's a journey. So they chase case credits but neglect the people. They disappear during low months instead of stabilizing, and they rely on motivation instead of routine. And the biggest one, they want the reward without accepting the identity shift. I remember when I was doing research about the business, and even in the business, right? I asked myself, why do they, yes, the forever emblem is the eagle, but why is it so significant? And leaders, after this, if you have the time, please go look at how significant this emblem that we call eagle, this title that we call eagle is. I want you to go learn about what an eagle is and why it is such a revered citizen of the sky. You will be so blessed, you will be so enlightened about how prestigious this title is. You cannot want the pin but not shift your identity. When you become an eagle, you need to become an eagle. So most people don't feel eagle. They just quit the vision of themselves that eagle requires. And that vision, it's calmer, it's more disciplined, and it's less reactive. So I put that up there because I used to cry every other day before Eagle. I used to cry at any minor inconvenience in my business journey. And what Eagle taught me was you need to learn to pick and choose when the time to cry is and when the time to laugh to keep you from crying is. Sometimes on the 31st of the month or the 30th of the month, that needs to be your reaction while you are fighting for your life in this business. So this is the eagle in me now. Moving along. So what did I stop doing in my on my way to eagle rather? So I stopped chasing everything at once. Because a lot of people do ask, how did you close it in half of the time? But in all honesty, some of my biggest breakthroughs came from this, what I stopped doing. Because growth at this level isn't about adding more, but it's about refining your business, refining yourself as a leader. So I stopped chasing every incentive at the same time. At the beginning, I wanted everything: car travel, the title, eagle, bonuses, recognition, all at once. And that's how you burn out. And I learned that eagle doesn't reward chaos, but it rewards focus. So instead of chasing 10 things at the same time, I aligned everything to one priority at a time and let the incentives stack naturally. And that's the beauty of forever. Every incentive builds towards the next one progressively, but not chaotically. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, it's probably not because you're incapable, but more so because you're unfocused. And focus creates speed. Secondly, I stopped over explaining the business to the wrong people. I used to explain forever living to exhaustion: voice notes, paragraphs, follow ups, resources, this and the next. And then I realized people don't need more information. They actually just need desire. If someone keeps questioning, delaying, or doubting, they're not confused, they're just undecided. So I stopped convincing and started inviting, number one, and then leaving my prospects with the business and the information to marinate with and moved on to the next one. The right people don't need to be pushed, they will lean in. Thirdly, I stopped babysitting uncommitted partners, right? This one is probably a tough pill to swallow, but it's a real thing. I was pouring time into people who weren't showing up, chasing them, reminding them, motivating them, as if their business was mine and not one that they chose. And it hit me: leadership is not about parenting. I shifted my energy to people who were moving, even slowly. Even slowly is okay, but move. And guess what? That's when duplication started. Your job is not to drag people forward, it's to walk fast enough for the willing and even those who are moving slowly to keep up. Even I have to keep up with my mentor. Even I have to keep up with my upline. Is it easy? No. But I'm always reminded, there's a prayer I prayed. This was a few months before I joined the business. I prayed this in 2024 and I said to God, please put me in rooms and amongst women where I am the smallest in income or industry experience, where I am the smallest in the room. But what does it require for me to be in those said rooms? I need to bring value. People who are making big moves and big strides, 6 to 8 figure incomes, those earners do not have time for time wasters. And they don't have time to babysit. They understand clearly that time is money, so you need to be worth their while. And even if it's in small efforts, but make the effort nonetheless. Number four, I stopped building volume alone just to feel like I was in control. You will find in this business there's a temptation, especially as a high performer, to just do it yourself. Let me just retail more. Let me push harder. Let me carry the month alone. I don't need anyone. But Eagle doesn't reward independence, it rewards interdependence. You need to work with people. I learned to pause and ask, am I building case credits or am I building leaders? And if you carry the business alone, you'll never grow it beyond yourself. And remember, our business is a legacy business. So if you are not going to be interdependent and work with people, your business will live with you, but it'll also die with you. Number five, I stopped reacting emotionally to case credit drops. This is another big one. When case credit drops, we all panic. It's a real thing, right? And we spiral, we think we're failing because we are looking at either an income drop or that we are further away from it. But a case drop can also mean growth. And that's why a change in lens is so important. A change in how you look at this business is so important. You need to see it as new manager legs or rebuilding and restructuring is also growth. So instead of panicking, start analyzing. Number six, I stopped relying on motivation and started relying on routine. Motivation is unreliable. Motivation is so unreliable. You'll be motivated after tonight, but if you don't get up tomorrow and actually do something about it, this was good for nothing. So some days you'll have motivation and some days you won't. But Eagle didn't require me to feel inspired every day. It required me to be consistent. Same posting rhythm, same follow ups, same leadership touch points, even on low energy days. And the beauty of our company is you have a community. You're not doing this alone, right? You just need to tap into your mentor, tap into your upline and say, hey, I have a couple of business partners, but I'm just finished today. I'm fatigued. Do you mind taking this one on one for me? And they've got you, but you need to show up. And you don't need to feel ready. You just need a routine that carries you. Now, just a comparison who Eagle is for and who Eagle isn't for. So I want to be very clear here. Not everyone needs to chase Eagle, and that is okay. That is up to you, right? But Eagle is for a specific kind of builder. It's for people who want long term income and not quick wins. It's for leaders who are willing to be visible, and it's for builders who understand duplication. It's for people who are okay with delayed gratification. Who Eagle isn't for is for people who want quick wins, instant results, silent partners, title collectors, you just want the pin, or those who resist structure. Eagle doesn't demand perfection, but it demands participation. If you are willing to show up consistently, even imperfectly, Eagle will meet you halfway. Leaders, month hasn't ended yet. I always love to say our months end at the last hour of the last day. So 00.00 of the last day of the month. Our month hasn't ended yet. You still have the chance to revive and, give life to your January month. You still have the opportunity to relook at things, to pivot, and, to just restructure and align yourself to what this is going to take. And so, in close, I want to share with you that Eagle didn't ask me to become louder. It didn't ask me to be busier. It didn't ask me to be more aggressive. It just asked me to be calmer, clearer, and more disciplined. All right. And that's where the alignment comes in, when you are clear, when you are calm, and when you are disciplined. And that version of me, that's the version that finished her Eagle in 6 months. And so I will leave you with this. Scarcity says there's not enough, but leadership knows abundance never runs out. I appreciate you all so much for the session. I hope you took something out of this. I hope it meant something to you. And I cannot wait to see you all in Sun City. Have a good evening.
Wow, 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 wow. Lerato. My word, what manner of excellence is this one? This was excellently delivered. Yo. This is absolutely incredible. Finish faster, focus harder, fly higher was not just a topic. It was a masterclass to discipline, agency, consistency, and execution. This was really, really beautiful. It was brilliantly done. You shared so many powerful nuggets, practical examples, actionable items, and it was so timely and the kind that really separates average performers from true high performer. This is absolutely off the charts. And you reminded us that Eagle Manager season is not over. And that's how we use this final months. That's how actually this final months will determine who qualifies for EMR. Sure, your eloquence, your confidence, your depth of leadership set a powerful standard. This is really world class standard. Truly, this is really amazing. And I truly appreciate you and the excellence that you've delivered tonight. And the preparedness that you did for our FBOs, I'm truly grateful. And thank you for delivering with such clarity, with such excellence, with so much confidence, with so much authority and power. We honor you, we celebrate you for the 6 months that you have taken in building the Eagle, and I can see that Eagle traits in you. And we are better prepared to finish strong because of this training that we have done. And I just want to ask the audience, what have they learned? There were so many nuggets. My word. Please do share so Lerato can see that this was really brilliantly done. And what I loved is you were so authentic. You didn't sugarcoat it. You didn't share, the stuff that is not achievable. I really enjoyed your training, and people are saying, I'm just gonna read. And guys, let's give Lerato once again a huge round of applause. It's a boo 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 boo. Wow, Lerato. I don't even know
Thank
what
you
to
so much,
say.
leaders. I'm still shaking, but thank you.
You. I know this was brilliant, man. This is world class standards, eh? I promise you, you've delivered excellently with so much confidence and so much eloquence, and your training had substance and not the fluff stuff, the stuff that you actually do. And people say they've learned consistency. Rejection is not a reflection of your leadership. and they just ululating on you. Focus on people, not CCs, and they really appreciate your authenticity. A lot of people learned consistency, being intentional, changing your lens, discipline and visibility, and it's just a lot of, fire emojis, love, 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 just a lot of love for you and what you have delivered. And Lerato, I just want to say thank you. Passion alone doesn't sustain a business as structure does. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this. And I'm sure that it has shifted a lot of mindsets, and something inside of our FBO's bellies have moved, and they are going to really close the month end on a high and very strong, because they are going to be intentional about it. And you've given them structure that run to manager first, go for car incentive. That's how you won't panic. That's how you're going to close quickly. It was brilliantly done, brilliantly done. And I'm definitely going to engage you further to train more. Our FBOs needs to hear this kind of trainings, more of it. And eagles are built on ordinary days, not big days. So I've just earned myself another trainer in the Forever Saffron Africa, and
Po, po, po,
yeah,
po, po,
well
po, po.
done. Boom, 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 boom. Yes. Wow, well done,
Yes.
man. This was
Thank you
really
so much,
amazing.
CSM. Thank you. Thank you
People are not
guys.
even leaving, they are still here because they really longing for more, and their cup is overfilled. And they've really learnt a lot. And thank you so, so much for not holding back and really sharing with authenticity and sharing everything that you do. I'm really, really grateful for you, and may God bless you abundantly. And yeah, I'm gonna engage you further on other trainings, and I hope you are ready. Please get your husband,
He is
aligned,
ready. He
and
is
let
ready.
him
He's
know.
aligned. He's aligned.
Yeah, this was brilliantly done. Thank you so much. God bless you, and a happy month end closing, everybody. We left with 3 days to what's month end. Let's focus on lots of activities. Let's focus on closing on a high, very strong with what Lerato shared tonight. I'm sure it has fueled you up to go and really close the month on a very strong note. And thank you so much. Have a blessed evening, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the messages that you are giving, Lerato. We truly appreciate you. And Lerato, once again, thank you so much. You have truly delivered excellently. And God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.